Alrighty, let's talk about Matt Walsh. Moreover, let's talk about cartoons. I mean, Matt Walsh is a cartoon, but, you know, let's talk about Matt Walsh talking about cartoons. And considering that I am currently a cartoon in a cartoon office, is a cartoon talking about a cartoon man talking about cartoons. Hopefully that's not too confusing for everybody, because now we're going to get into a different type of cartoon, fan art. So this is actually a piece done by Z. They are a fan of the channel, and also he is a friend of mine. So there is that. It was actually very weird. During Dragon Con 5 years ago, not 5 years ago, it wasn't during Dragon Con. Anime Week in Atlanta, that's what it was. Just hearing randomly, "Hey Suris," from a crowd was really fucking weird. So thank you for one of those weird experiences, Z. The second one is also from them. They put together a 3D model, and I forget what the app is. There's an app specifically for it. But it was done on a phone. So it's kind of neat. It was his interpretation of the Suris model via that particular app. Again, I can't... Raz was using it one day. I don't remember what it was. What the actual app was. But anyways, thank you very much for the fan art submissions. As always, everyone, thank you very much for dropping fan art on the channel as you do. If you want your fan art to be featured on a video, the best way to do so is to drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. And with that said, let's talk about this man. How you doing, Matt? Matty Poo?
You know, back in my day, growing up in the utopia...
You know, back in my day, we didn't have the internet. We just yelled at each other from across our lawns. Continue.
You know, back in my day, growing up in the utopian Garden of Eden period known as 1990s...
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
We had kid shows, which the interesting thing about the kid shows is that they were shows for kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were for. And some of them were better than others. Some were kind of weird. Some were kind of stupid. Some were artistic masterpieces, like, for example, the Nickelodeon show Salute Your Shorts, which is a 90s show that every 90s kid remembers and then is shocked to discover that every other 90s kid remembers it too.
What the fuck was Salute Your Shorts? I'm sorry, Matt, I've never heard of that show. Also, I like how some of the shows you showed there, things like Rocko's Modern Life, most of that show is much more easily understood by an adult. Ren and Stimpy is also a show where most of the stuff is more easily understood by an adult. You know, back in your day, you also had Animaniacs, one of the most overtly political shows aimed at kids of all fucking time. Like, okay, this idea, back in my day, we used to have kids shows for kids. Now let's not talk about the actual, you know, political beliefs shown in those various shows. We had kids shows for kids. We don't talk about issues like climate change and political problems in our shows, despite the 80s having Captain Planet. We didn't talk about things like, you know, modern day terror. Okay, well, there was G.I. Joe, but for every issue that you bring up, we didn't have a show that celebrated homosexuality, says the fan of He-Man. No matter what show or what political issue you bring up, there's probably going to be some kids show that talked about it in some way. You know, if we're talking about the 90s, right? 90s into early 2000s, we're talking about, let me throw a kids show at you real quick, that tackled a lot of political issues you might not be aware about. It's a little fun show called Static Shock. So that Captain Planet was 90s. I'm pretty sure Captain Planet was 80s. We just all watched it in the 90s because we didn't have anything better to watch for a while. But pretty certain that if you ever watched a show like Static Shock, that show had a lot of political messaging in it. There were several points where, like, I remember one episode that always stuck out to me as a kid, was when Static is actually, like, relating to Green Lantern, because the Green Lantern of that era was Jon Stewart. They were both black, and he was pointing out that, like, he doesn't get anything out of the job but the clothes on his back, but, like, the community he was in was something that he wanted to keep on fighting for regardless. And there was a bunch of underlying like political issues in that show that got talked about. There are several issues that did very overtly talk about racism and how people with different skin tones are viewed differently. But you know, and there's also more subtle subliminal stuff in those shows. But yeah, no, I get it, Matt Walsh. Back in your day, shows didn't do any of these political propaganda agendas or anything else. Okay, so Captain Planet was 1990 to 96. Okay, cool. So I guess he's just fucking wrong. Continue.
Now, the thing about these shows is that their primary goal was to entertain, as I remember. And that's different from the situation that we have today, where kids' shows seem to consider entertainment sort of a secondary concern. The primary goal now is to ensure that the children in the audience adopt the correct political and ideological viewpoints.
Okay. So, you're gonna show up Animaniacs. Again, one of the most overtly political shows of all time. Also, can I just say that old shows did a lot of, like, having a message at the end of them? If you don't think that that was trying to push people towards a particular, you know, moral ideology, I don't know what is. Like, do you remember how when Sailor Moon got dubbed over here, how they had to put in those kind of messages into Sailor Moon? Like, the ends of episodes just randomly had these PSAs for kids that were very much like the Sonic Says segments at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog. Does anybody else remember that? And how weird and jarring that was? But that was done because that was kind of the norm of the time. You want to bitch about, oh, these shows were just meant to entertain. They didn't have any of this messaging for kids. It wasn't trying to push kids into a particular ideology. No, the fuck, yeah, no, it did. Those shows did. They really, really did.
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
And by correct, I mean those views that are in keeping with the mainstream beliefs of our culture, and by that I mean incorrect. So by correct, I mean incorrect.
Okay, cool. So what incorrect beliefs are being pushed by these TV shows? That is what I want to know. Because we can argue all day about whether or not you're right about what's going on in the social zeitgeist. Let's talk about what issues you specifically disagree with. Let's go.
We'll begin with the latest example, and maybe the worst. This one is fresh out of the indoctrination oven. It's the show Muppet Babies, in which Gonzo comes out as a gender-fluid cross-dresser. Yes, really.
Gonzo has always been lacking of a gender. Gonzo is Gonzo. There were a lot of people very ready to educate me on exactly how non-binary Gonzo had been in previous iterations of the Muppets. And again, Gonzo had cross-dressed in previous iterations of the Muppets all the fucking time. But okay, this is definitely a recent phenomenon, Matt. This is such a recent phenomenon.
Let's watch.
There you are. You missed our royal ball.
We met the most amazing princess. But they ran away, and all they left behind was this.
Everyone, there's something I need to tell you. The princess who came to your ball tonight was me. I'm Gonzarella.
Okay.
Gonzo, why didn't...
That's gonna get me hit with a copyright strike soon. So we're done watching the Muppets Babies thing because, again, I don't want to get hit with a copyright strike.
Gonzo doesn't have a father in the home to say, hey, take that thing off. You look stupid. Get that thing off of you.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
So, wait a minute. Gonzo doesn't have a dad to tell him to take the dress off. Allow me to show an example of a proper fatherly figure telling you what to do. Allow me to introduce you to Snoke, proprietor of the First Order in Star Wars, who was so abusive and tyrannical that at the very first opportunity he was cut down by his protege. Ah, yes, wonderful fatherly example there, Matt. Your editor just did a bang-up job there.
You know, some people will point out that kid shows in the past have had episodes where boys dress as girls, and that's true. But in the past, whether it was a kid show or something for older kids or you know, older audiences, something like Mrs. Doubtfire, a movie from the 90s, Robin Williams, in the past, this plot point was always played for laughs, right?
Yes, because the joke was that, oh no, men aren't supposed to wear dresses. And people are largely starting to not find that as funny. Just like, at one point, a woman being a business person was a joke, played for laughs. At one point, a black person having an education was a joke, played for laughs. Now, despite the fact that the black person would have been played by a white person wearing blackface makeup, I digress. Point of the matter is, people are starting to understand that maybe when we poke fun of people for wearing dresses because, oh, guys aren't supposed to wear dresses, there's a little bit of transphobia there, potentially. Not all the time. Sometimes you could legitimately just be saying, no, dude, you look particularly ridiculous in that dress. There might be a different dress you can rock, but not this one. That's a different conversation, but that's not really the point here. Yes, these things were played for laughs more in the past, but the question is, should we be laughing at them for the reasons we used to?
Right, it was supposed to be funny. The point was that boys look stupid in girls' clothes.
Sometimes. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. There are some fucking rocking femboys. And I'm straight as shit.
And we should laugh about it.
Oh yeah! Well, you know what I think?
Who cares what you think? You're a girl now.
Now the point...
Yeah. That's a great clip to play there. You are aware that Cosmo was the idiot in that show, right? And that was kind of the point. You are a fairly odd individual, Matt.
Point is that wearing girls' clothes is great and courageous, and more boys should try it. You know, if you've raised your kids correctly, and they
Correct. Wait. What? Hold on. Wait. Matt, wait. Was the problem that they're being indoctrinated into the, quote, correct way and trying to force a correct way on them in any way, shape, or form? That is the issue. Wait, what? Hold on. That's a problem. But here, when you say, wait, if you're raising them the correct way, they would be making fun of these people or whatever the fuck you're going to say. So, hold on. So, this feels weird to me. As opposed to pointing out that there's a different way that you should raise children depending on the type of child, no, to you there's a definite one-size-fits-all correct way you should be raising kids, and it most certainly does not involve teaching them love and acceptance of different people. Okay? Just wanted to get that out of the way. Thanks, Matt. Continue.
and they were to watch Muppet Babies and they saw that, they would start laughing. Like if my boys watch Muppet Babies, which they won't, but if they did and they saw that, they would just laugh hysterically because they would say that's so silly and ridiculous, which it is.
Because you've taught your children how to be hateful pieces of shit. Like, I mean, at least we've confirmed that.
But now it's the goal is quite the opposite of that, which is, among other things, extremely creepy. Next.
Not really. There's nothing... Okay, so what's creepy about a guy wearing a dress? Just let me ask you, what is creepy about a girl wearing jeans and a button-up shirt? Traditionally male clothing. If you don't see anything wrong with that, but you do see something wrong with a guy wearing a dress, then I have to ask, why? Again, if you think that it's just because a guy looks ridiculous in a dress, in many cases it can be because a guy is not wearing a dress fit for their body type. This is a thing that happens with women as well, and people of various non-binary identities. If you are wearing a dress, dresses are very finicky. Certain dresses will not look good on you even if you are female. And that same principle applies if you're a dude. The fact of the matter is, if more guys normalized wearing dresses, then maybe they would be able to start wearing dresses they could actually rock, instead of dresses that didn't look great on them. But, you know, that's a world that Matt's scared of.
Next we have the show Arthur, one that I remember from my childhood as well, the show about a lovable aardvark. I think that's what it is, but I could be wrong. He used to be lovable. Anyway, he's lost a bit of his charm now that he's pushing critical race theory.
Hey, Arthur. Hey, Hey, Buster. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I just watched it. It was awful. I can't believe someone would be hurt like that, just because they're black.
Racism is so unfair. No one should ever judge someone by the color of their skin.
Wait, how is that critical race theory? What about that is CRT? Is there something in the show that you don't agree with? Do you think that we should judge people based on the color of their skin? Is that a problem for you, Matt?
But how could it happen here, in Elwood City, right outside the Sugar Bowl?
Buster, it happens everywhere. I was talking to Mrs. McGrady the other day. She said there's a really long history of black people not being treated fairly in this country.
It has to stop.
We have to do something.
Yeah! But what can we do? I mean...
Okay, so again, I really do not want to get copyright struck. I'm sure Matt, in his giant platform and his millions of dollars, probably cares less than I do. But when a handful of my videos get demonetized, that actually hurts quite a lot, so let's not.
McGrady, whatever your name is. Why does it keep happening? Well, for the same reason that unicorns keep shitting on your roof. That is, it's not happening.
Wait, so racism isn't happening in the United States? Racism's not happening in the United States? Is that what you're saying? Please just...
Like, at all. There have been comparatively few unjustified police shootings of anyone. Statistically, this is undeniable from a statistical standpoint. And almost none of them have any connection to racism. So this is not a thing that's actually...
Almost none of them have any connection to racism? I wonder if there's some stats that say that black people are disproportionately served and disproportionately accosted, and man, it would be really weird if there were statistics that showed that a disproportional amount of African American citizens suffer unduly by the police. God, I remember some weird kid show back in the 90s talking about this. Starred Will Smith. Really weird. I can't remember the show's name. It was just fresh in my mind. It's left prints on my memory, but I guess I'll just have to air it out someday, and maybe I'll figure it out. But we'll figure out that story and how that turned Matt's entire argument upside down eventually.
Happening, and yet the people behind Arthur want small children to imagine they live in a country where black people are being killed left and right for the color of their skin, just like...
Not left and right, and that's not even what's being suggested there. The point is that racism happens, and it happens everywhere, and that is a true statement. Like, to argue that racism just doesn't happen in the United States is wrong. If there are 2,000 police shootings in a day in America, and 10 of them, a very small amount in comparison to the 2,000 police shootings, happen to involve racism, we end up with over 700 accounts of police racism in the United States per year. Because that's just how numbers work. Just throwing that out there, buddy.
Walking on the street, they just get murdered by the cops.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
And by the way, side note, what does race even exist in the Arthur universe?
It doesn't matter. The Arthur universe doesn't need to have race exist in it for them to communicate those ideas. Like, that really doesn't functionally matter here.
You can't just invent a holiday, Arthur.
Well, sure you can. My family celebrates Kwanzaa, and that was invented for African Americans by Dr. Maulana Karenga in 1966.
Not sure what's going on there exactly, but let's keep going. We'll stay on the racial side of things with this from a show that I don't even know what the show is, but it's called Steven Universe. Here it is.
Wait, you seriously don't know what Steven Universe is? It's like the second most popular show on all of Cartoon Network. Behind the critically acclaimed series, I hate Teen Titans Go. I hate it so much. But behind Teen Titans Go, Steven Universe and Adventure Time probably rank as like the biggest things on that entire network.
right, class. Can anyone tell me who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison!
That's not entirely true. The light bulb could more rightfully be attributed to Lewis Latimer, the black inventor behind the filament inside the bulb.
Yeah. This is actually completely in line with Pearl's character. So, Pearl, if you haven't seen Steven Universe, Pearl is a know-it-all. Like, functionally, Pearl is an absolute, just insufferable know-it-all. So, her doing this gotcha in front of a class, completely in line with her character. Completely in line. This is exactly what she would do.
His invention made light bulbs affordable and efficient enough for the general public.
And that is a use of her light cloning technique, which she uses several times in the show for training purposes. This is actually a real creative use of Pearl, not gonna lie.
Bringing electric light into households around the world.
Well, so now you know. Wait.
And this is where we get to see Matt's reaction, where he just like rolls his eyes. Ugh, they're talking about the ways black people made the world better. God.
Wait, is that it? Hold on. We're not going to mention why he invented the filament? To create a better standard of living for people who had only just been freed from slavery? Are we going to ask why kids are apparently learning about Thomas Edison?
Thomas Edison!
Ugh, and not learning about Lewis Latimer? These textbooks are incomplete. There were black Roman warriors, black medieval knights, black classical musicians, black cowboys, black fighter pilots. Where are they?
Okay.
Yeah, that's again. This is literally just it. This is exactly what Pearl would do. This is in line with what her character does. She is an obstinate know-it-all brainiac who is insufferable for everyone around her, but incredibly useful. That's the thing. Pearl is an incredibly useful character, despite her being an insufferable, up until about episode 110, horrible person. At the end of the day, Pearl is nightmarishly useful. Completely useful. Also, Mr. Krabs, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an... You fucking weirdo. And yeah, this was released for Black History Month as their PSA shorts. There's nothing... Like, this is in line with her character. This is in line with what she would do. But okay, let's continue.
I don't want to get into a historical debate with a cartoon, but...
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You literally do.
But at the same time, no, you could not attribute the light bulb to Lewis Latimer if you actually care about things like the truth and historical accuracy. You know, those little details like that. Yes, Latimer innovated a filament for the bulb. He didn't invent the filament, but he did come up with a better, longer-lasting filament, which is great. That doesn't equate to inventing the light bulb. All right? I could invent a more durable tire or a more reliable braking system. Well, I couldn't do that, but somebody could.
Okay, so here's the thing. Latimer made the light bulb more practical and contributed to the invention of the first telephone. Thomas Edison also did not invent the light bulb, but Thomas Edison used what had been designed by Latimer to functionally distribute light bulbs better. That's the thing. A light bulb existing, but you innovating on the idea of a light bulb iteratively. That's invention. That is, you are using your brain creatively to innovate on a thing so that it is more practical going forward. Let's talk about Lewis Latimer on a later episode to go full circle. That he received a patent on September 13th, 1881 for an electric lamp, which is an improved design for producing light using electricity. There was another patent on January 17th, 1882 for the process of manufacturing carbons, an improved method for the production of carbon filaments for light bulbs. After those patents, the Edison Electric Company in New York City hired Latimer in 1884 as a draftsman and an expert witness in patent litigation and electric lights. While at Edison, Latimer wrote his first book in electric engineering, entitled Incandescent Electric Lighting. He supervised the installation of public electric lights throughout New York, Philadelphia, Montreal, and London. When the company was combined in 1892 with the Thomson-Houston Electric Company, it was used to form General Electric, and he continued his work in their legal departments then. What he did was incredibly useful, and as a result, he got scouted out by Edison Electric. But sure, okay. Muddle what invention actually means, Matt. If I invent a lighter, or if I create a lighter before a lighter has been made, you would say, you didn't invent anything, that just makes fire out of fuel. I can make fire out of fuel right now. And then you sit there with your logs and you're just ramming your sticks together, desperately trying to create a spark. And then I just sit there with my lighter and click, and suddenly I've got it. Yes, I have invented something. I have innovated a more practical, feasible, industrial use for fire. But okay, continue.
That doesn't mean that I get to claim that I invented the car, though. And I can't invent the car because it's already been invented. So there's that little detail. As for...
Fire's already been invented, so you can't invent a lighter. Or you can't invent a lighter.
For the actual inventor of the light bulb, there is a debate that could be had about who exactly that was. Edison deserves most of the credit that he gets. Joseph Swan is an English scientist, also developed an incandescent bulb independently. But Joseph Swan was white. So the fact is, many of the most important inventions in modern society were given to us by white people, usually men.
And there's the narrative. Most of the practically useful things in society were given to us by them's benevolent whites. That's... There isn't even a mask at this point for these people.
Not all, but a great many. That's not a racist statement. That is just a fact.
Right, but you can hide behind the "that's not a racist statement, that's just a fact" little tidbit all you want. You're using this in response to somebody talking about, again, an invention of a filament that was used to make light bulbs a practical thing that could be sold and utilized for multiple businesses. You're downplaying the actual work that went into that by an African American by saying, well, no, actually, white people.
It's also not something to be ashamed of, or embarrassed about, or competitive about, or angry about.
Nobody's getting angry about it. Nobody's getting competitive about it. You're the one who's having to do the one-upmanship for white people.
Rather than trying to steal this invention from Thomas Edison.
Nobody's trying to steal an invention from Thomas Edison if they innovated on the filament before Edison did his mass production that we understand of today.
When he's not even around to defend himself. How about saying, hey, thanks, Thomas Edison? There are at least one good white guy that's been out there. There are many others, it turns out.
Yeah, nobody's saying there aren't good white people out there, Matt. Literally, nobody's fucking saying that.
All right, so no list of woke children's shows would be complete without the Blue's Clues drag queen episode, which maybe you've seen by now, but it's got to be on the list. So let's all...
Okay, we've already covered the Blue's Clues drag queen episode. I'm not going to cover that again. We already did Matt Walsh thing. Basically, there was a drag queen that talked about, that sung the different, sexuality flags for Pride Parade. Made Matt Walsh very angry, despite the fact that we live in a world where gay and trans people exist, so having them exist in children's shows is perfectly fine. There's the TLDR. Next one.
Horses on My Little Pony. Let's watch this.
You three truly have a gift for helping ponies.
Aw, thanks, Aunt Holiday.
Okay, so it's a video about the Cutie Mark Crusaders? Okay.
But I'm not sure we can take credit for this one.
Of course you can. You encouraged that cult to try new things. And because you all believed in him, he succeeded.
I could use that kind of help.
Okay.
Come on, Auntie Lottie. You already have your cutie mark.
A lot of good it does me. I can't decide what theme to give this quilt. I've run out of inspiration.
How about apples, puppies, kites, or...
Okay. So, note, I am pausing here because I haven't gotten to the thing that Matt might have contention with, and I want to make sure that we don't get hit with copyright. But just for backstory, the whole point of the Cutie Mark Crusaders is, like, in the early episodes of the show, they didn't have their cutie marks. In MLP, the whole point of that is that the defining part of your personality, your job in society, basically, is decided via cutie mark. So, like, Rainbow Dash, her big thing was she created a type of sonic boom that involved a rainbow as well, so they got a rainbow cutie mark. Freaking Pinkie Pie loved banking, so they got a cupcake, and so on and so forth. So the Cutie Mark Crusaders, they desperately wanted to get their cutie marks because they wanted to have their role in society. They wanted to have their big defining trait. They wanted it so bad, despite the fact that, like, every other pony just goes, yeah, no, it's just a thing that people get, and nobody gives a shit. So they eventually get a cutie mark that shows that they will help other people understand their roles in life and get theirs. That's functionally what they do. Like, they spent so much time trying to figure out how to make their lives work that they became self-help ponies for everybody else. That's their jobs. That's what they did. Okay? So, just to give context as to the whole, like, you believed in them so they believed in you, or so they were able to succeed. Yeah, that's literally what happens with their characters. Their whole thing in the entire show is they believe in other people and they offer them support because that's the thing that gave them their marks. So they do that with other people.
Cotton candy or ballet. What about a Wonderbolt quilt?
See? Leave it to you three to come up with more ideas than I've had in a year. Now that's talent.
Oh, was that it? Okay. I was waiting because, well, first of all, I didn't mean to misgender the horses. That's actually not a horse. That's a unicorn, it would seem. But you know how bad it's gotten?
What?
That was the tamest thing we saw. I was like waiting for. That was downright quaint and conservative in comparison to.
There's nothing conservative about that, but yeah, no, it was perfectly harmless. I was waiting for the thing you were gonna get mad about too. Do you just? I know that I blind react to these things, but do you blind react to these things as well, Matt? Because, like, it's really... I'm glad to have, like, this moment where I can understand you a little bit better.
What you normally get from kid shows these days. I mean, it's only a lesbian couple on My Little Pony. The lesbian unicorns, they're not even into, like, BDSM or anything. There's no subplot where one of them gets a sex change.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen in MLP generally. And cool. Some of them are lesbians, and
this is old-fashioned. Really? That's how bad it's gotten.
That's spinning. You literally had to deliberately spin it. You couldn't find anything wrong with the clip, so you had to go, look at how bad it's got that I found this okay. That's your... Oh my god. You have to try so hard to find something wrong with it. This is called for an uprising levels of stupid, Matt. Come on. And I'm the cartoon slime here. MLP is a kid show. I mean, yeah, it's a kid show that has, like, weird genocidal villains in it. It's a... Man, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those shows that, like, I avoided watching for years, and then one of my friends just was like, do you like Powerpuff Girls? I was like, yeah. Do you like Dexter's Lab? Yeah? Okay. Then sit down with this show and fucking watch it. And then I watched it and realized, okay, no, I actually do like this show. It's cringy at times, yes. But it's not a bad show. The cringiest part of MLP is MLP fans. That's just like the scariest part of Steven Universe are Steven Universe fans. But, you know, this feels weird that Matt's entire thing was trying to find something to be deliberately angry about in all these shows, so that when he finally failed at finding something to be deliberately angry about, the position he had to take was, oh, this was tame, so I can now be exponentially more angry at those other shows. I just find that kind of weird. But, in any case, In any case, what do you guys think? Cartoon review of cartoon reviewer of reviewing cartoons with cartoons being reviewed by a cartoon slime in a cartoon office while you're probably watching cartoons on your other monitor. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Let me know over on Twitch if you're watching live. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and all the other fun, useful things you can do for the channel. With all that said, though, as always, everyone, insert end the video tagline here.